We are live. Hello, humans. Hello.
Is this working? Is this on? Is this thing on?
So, how was your week off? Did you accomplish any great and wonderful things, or at
I
least
didn't.
sleep a
I
lot?
mean, like week off. No, like week off from Astronomy Cast or week off from. I mean, I. So Anton, who is
Is a
this
wonderful human.
wonderful guy, Ukrainian guy who's joined
Yeah.
our team and is displaced right now,
Yeah.
and was looking for some work while he's outside of the country for reasons you can probably understand, and so yeah, I jumped at the opportunity to work with him because I'm a big fan of his work.
Yeah.
He's a fairly successful YouTuber in Russian and Ukrainian, and he had a bunch of ideas, and they've been super fun. Like, he's changed the way we do all our thumbnails. He's added a bunch of new shows. I'm doing a news thing every week.
Mm-hmm.
We've changed a bunch of stuff, but it's funny because I've never worked so hard in my life. Right? So we've brought someone on to help me, but the reality is that it's someone to push me to do a whole bunch of new and interesting projects. And
That is
like, we're just getting started.
amazing.
Yeah, it's funny. So he's got a whole bunch of other ideas, and I said, well, you can have like like a lot of stuff is obviously going to depend on me because I am the talent. So and so I'm like, you can have 20 hours of my week to use how you want, boss. And he's just like, no problem. And so it's been, I mean, we've been recording a ton of stuff. We've been doing live events on the Discord server. We've got a bunch of new ideas that we're planning, and like I said, this whole new video series we're doing on the YouTube channel. He's got another plan that we're going to do. We're scheduling more interviews, sort of higher production quality across the board. We've redesigned Universe today.
Oh, wow.
I'm exhausted.
So, if you run out of energy, pass it my way, because I can benefit from
Yeah.
something like that too.
Well, but no, like remember, like you don't just like. It's not like he comes to help you out. He comes to put you to work. So just keep that in mind, that
Yep.
that the price I'm paying is a list of obligations and responsibilities to fulfill on my side of the bargain. But it's been a lot of fun, and I'm it's it's like one of my favorite ways to work is to have somebody who you are
Driven.
like, yeah, someone that you are like I'm at my best when I'm in service to other people, when I feel obligated to do my part so that another person can succeed and do their part. And so now being able to have having someone who, I'm giving him a job, but the only way that all of the things that he's planning to do require me to do more work. And so far it's been, and so that's all. So if you're just like, it's not a simple like, just take all the stuff off my plate. No.
It's help innovate, help
innovate, help implement all these ideas and so on and so forth. And he's a good editor, and he's a great graphic designer, and so it's been, they're able to so it's not throwing a lot more work on to say Chad, which has been great.
Right.
But definitely it's been keeping me busy and entertained. But I hope people are enjoying what we're doing. Yeah. Serious Kaylee saying, oh, like a trainer. Yeah, that's exactly it. Right? Yeah, you don't hire a trainer to do your exercise for you. You hire a trainer to make you work harder.
Right.
And I think that's a good way it's been going. I've never been so busy. People take stuff off my plate.
I hired Lindsay at Tiny Intern. Any of you who follow me on Twitter have been seeing our adventures the past few weeks. And she catches me saying shit that should have actionable items tied to them. And then she creates the actionable items.
Right.
And it's just like, I can no longer ignore these things. And I'm a better person for it. But
exactly,
my. And
oh, back is kind of hurting, and you've got an appointment with the doctor.
That is exactly what happened. And at one point this morning, I basically let out a primal scream in Discord of, oh my God, what all is going on today, when I looked at my calendar. And she had the best typo ever. She told me I needed to take a derp breath. It was accurate at that moment in time. No deep breathing was going to happen. Derp breathing was going to happen.
Right. Are you ready?
I hope so. I am pressing record. Are you? Yes, it's on the correct mic. I am pressing record.
I have also pressed record.
We are recording in all the places, all of them.
Okay, here we go. Astronomy Cast, episode 640, Science Surveys, Newest Projects and Results. Welcome to Astronomy Cast, our weekly facts-based journey through the cosmos, where we help you understand not only what we know, but how we know what we know. I'm Fraser, Cain, publisher of Universe Today. I've been a space and astronomy journalist for over 20 years. With me is Dr. Pamela Gay, senior scientist for the Planetary Science Institute and the director of CosmoQuest. Hey, Pamela, how you doing?
I am doing well. I feel like I need to start saying I've been a podcaster for 15 years or something.
Sure. Yeah, you
I don't
have.
know. I have.
More. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, 2005, so 17 years. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
My podcast.
Like, I'd only been doing Universe Today for like 5 years when we started up the podcast, when we started up Astronomy Cast. And now I can say, I've been a science journalist for 23 years. Yeah, it's pretty funny. All right. So there are general purpose telescopes and missions that astronomers can use to study specific objects. And there are the survey missions that look at the entire sky, which astronomers can use to answer questions about the universe. We've talked about surveys in the past, but the landscape is changing quickly. So it's time for an update. And we will talk about it in a second, but it's time for a break. And we're back. When we thought about surveys, and I haven't looked, but it was several hundred episodes ago when we talked about surveys. And I've always been a gigantic fan of survey missions in general, because it allows you to go after the fact, go back through all of this data and try to answer specific questions. But at the time, there weren't a lot. There was the Sloan Digital Sky Survey.
There was first an NVSS on the radio side of things.
Right. Yeah. And not a lot, and not at high detail, and not at different wavelengths. It's a totally different world now, even today, not to mention what's coming soon. So let's sort of come back around and talk about sort of some really exciting survey missions that have launched, or telescopes that have been deployed, and then what comes next.
So I think we have to start by acknowledging the majesty that is Gaia. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, I will keep saying it until I die. Gaia.
All hail Gaia.
Yeah. It is one of the best designed missions I have ever seen, in terms of they are using what's called drift scanning, so that this funky telescope is rotating so that the stars drift across, and galaxies and other objects drift across the detector at the same rate that they're reading out the detector. And this allows them to basically move the stars from one detector to the next detector to the next detector. And they're doing different pre-processing between each of these different things, so they know which data to focus on. The only flaw in this system is it is taking data at a significantly higher rate than it can send it back to Earth. So it has to use onboard algorithms to sort out just what the important stuff is that we get to get our curious little hands on once the data gets sent back.
And this is your classic example of a survey mission.
Yes.
This space telescope is surveying 1.5+ billion stars, more than a percentage of the entire Milky Way galaxy, detecting the position, location, distance, movement of these various versions. Some of these stars it's detecting all of that data, and in some cases it's only doing some, in terms of motion and so on. So a fraction of it. But in general, it is surveying hundreds of millions of stars for all of that really interesting information. And what have we gotten out of Gaia that's changed astronomy?
Well, what it's able to do, and it is the first mission to be able to do this, is it can look at a field of stars and see how one of the stars gradually moves compared to the others over time, and against background quasars, which are totally not going to move. And this allows it to measure the movement of stars in the plane of the sky that is triggered both by proper motion, so the actual motion of the objects, and by parallax, which is the motion that is apparent due to the Earth's motion. You can figure out what parallax is by holding up your thumb, blocking out an object with one eye, and then switching and seeing how the thing you blocked out switches to the other eye.
Wait, you know what? Everybody just stop. Everybody. Like, I know you're listening to this as a podcast. Take your arm, hold it at arm's length, stick up your thumb, and then go back and forth with your eyes, opening one then the other, and watch how your thumb jumps back and forth from the background.
Yeah.
That's what it's doing.
Yes.
Like, seriously, if you're not going to do this right now, why are you listening to Astronomy Cast?
And
do this right now.
You can even...
No matter how hilarious you look. No busts. You're in the office. You're taking care of your kids. I don't care. I want you to practice the parallax method right now.
And once you do it with your thumb all the way out, bring your thumb closer and repeat it with your thumb closer. And notice how much more that thing you're blocking out appears to move when your thumb is closer. And that change in the angle that things appear to jump allows us to calculate how far away stars are. So it's getting us the absolute distance, the proper motion in the plane of the sky. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and so, like, if you imagine that this swirling, like, as the Milky Way, as a swirling vortex of stars going around, with various stars going faster than other, and they're interacting with their gravity, and some are shifting farther out into the galaxy, and some are moving closer in. Gaia is teasing out all that information all together and giving us this map of our surrounding.
And that's not all. I feel like we should do an infomercial for this satellite.
Exactly. Now how much would you pay?
So once they've gotten all of this detail about its position in the plane of the sky, they also very carefully measure its colors. So this allows you to start to get information on what, if it's a star, what stage in its evolution is it. It can get you some very basic compositional information. And then there's still more.
There's still more.
They can do spectroscopy with this, which will get you the in and out of the plane of the sky motion of the object by looking at the redshifts. So you have the motion in the plane of the sky, you have the motion in the in and out of the sky direction. That gives you the full three-dimensional vectorial motion of an object. You have color information that allows you to start to get at the most rudimentary what stage of evolution and what is the composition of this object that also you can get from the spectra. And this allows us to start to find families of stars that are galaxy 8 all at once that form amazing tidal streams. And my favorite discovery so far is pretty much anything related to the Gaia Enceladus sausage galaxy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, which is the most recent galaxies that the Milky Way consumed. But
it's not one of the most recent, it's one of the largest.
Right, but you can roll back
yeah.
the history of the Milky Way. You can unravel the Milky Way's history just by seeing how these stars are moving and how they all came together. And you can see clumps of stars that are moving together because they were once a galaxy cluster or a star cluster, or were the remnants of some dwarf galaxy. And if you act now, we'll throw in tens of thousands of exoplanets.
Yeah, they can actually see the motions in the plane of the sky caused by exoplanets. We've only previously really been able to do this with the in and out motion that we can see through Doppler shifting. They can see the planets that are going around in a direction that doesn't cause Doppler shifting that we can see. It's amazing.
Yeah, they're like making little circles. They're making little tiny circles in the sky because their planets are yanking them around from our perspective. And like, I think Gaia is just the greatest example that we have right now of the survey mission, because like imagine you're an astronomer, you ask a question, you're like, I wonder how many white dwarfs are within 1,000 light years of us and are moving to the left in sky. You just dig up the Gaia data, you filter it for white dwarfs, you pull out all the white dwarfs that are within the distance that you're looking for, you measure their proper motion. Imagine if you had to do it the other way, where you look at a star and you go, is that star a white dwarf? No. Okay, what about this? Oh, yeah, that is a white dwarf. Okay, great. How far away is it? Oh, it's too far. Okay, never mind. Next star. Like, it would be your life. But in this case, you just run a database filter, pull the data out, dump it out, start analyzing it, because instead of you analyzing a single object, you've got all the objects simultaneously analyzed for you to then sift through that data.
And it starts to become surveys all the way down, which is one of the things that I'm most excited about.
All right, we're going to talk about another one in a second. Wait, but it's time for another break. And we're back. All right, more surveys.
So it starts to get to be surveys all the way down, where you can use surveys like the Sloan Digital Sky Survey, which has been around as long as we've been around doing this show, the Gaia survey, all these other surveys. You can start to use them to do database queries to say, I want all the galaxy clusters. You're not going to do that one with Gaia, but you can do that one with Sloan. And this is leading to another kind of survey where you're not necessarily using a purpose-built telescope, but you're getting extraordinarily large amounts of time on telescopes to compete for how their time gets used. And this is where you start to see things like the Castles survey. The Castle survey is out there. They have found a number of large galaxy clusters using other surveys. And now with Castles, they're going through taking extremely deep images of cluster after cluster after cluster, looking for gravitationally lensed background objects. And this is how we're suddenly starting to see these papers that are like, the new farthest star, the new farthest galaxy. And well, it turns out that sociologically speaking, as soon as you say the furthest, largest, smallest, tiniest, nearest, any of those cool adjectives, the top 10, people are more likely to click on it.
Yeah.
But scientifically, when we can find these furthest things, it allows us, because light takes time to travel, it allows us to look back in time and start to see, well, what were the stars acting like? How quickly did galaxies form in different ways? And each of these amazing different galaxies where they're finding these lenses, it's a new chance to look back in time and do all the science that we've been waiting for JWST to use, and we still can't use JWST for science. So we're going to figure out how to do it other ways.
Right.
We are.
So same kind of thing. Show me all the database. Show me all the clusters that are doing that are gravitational lensing. Let's show me all the Einstein rings.
Yeah.
Right.
And
it's crazy.
And there's lots of these different surveys where folks are figuring out, okay, we're going to combine things in different ways. And one of the first of the big surveys to do this was the GOOD survey. And I always have to look at this acronym because it's really cool, but I forget it every time. This is the Great Observatory's Origins Deep Survey. And it's a survey that's now complete, but they used the Hubble, Spitzer, and Chandra together to look at a series of galaxies so that we could understand across a large swath of temperatures, because each of these different wavelengths reflects different temperature phenomena. what's going on with galaxy formation, star formation, the flow of material into angrily eating black holes. All black holes are angry. That's my headcanon, and I'm sticking to it.
Sure. Yep. Yep.
And so Goods was out there getting dedicated time using some ground-based telescopes to pull it all together, because you need that wide field image. And here they were using a lot of the Kitt Peak Observatory telescopes, then zoom in on stuff in detail with the great observatories. And quite often when you see these image releases that are like, and the funky colored blobs are from Chandra, and the purpley pinky details are from Spitzer, and the stuff that looks like what you expect the universe to look like is from Hubble. That's often from the Good survey, where they used specialized time on these generally used telescopes to study one specific problem in a great amount of detail.
There was a press release that just came out today. I don't know if you even saw it. I haven't even a chance to really deeply read it, but astronomers used the Hubble Space Telescope and released survey data on 25 hot Jupiters. They characterized 25 different hot Jupiters and provide all the information that astronomers might need on those 25 planets. And that is just the beginning. You know, you can imagine, I mean, there are some missions, I know I'm not allowed to talk about them, but there's some missions coming that we'll talk about when they launch that are going to be characterizing exoplanet atmospheres. All of them, right?
All of them.
Thousands.
That we know of.
That we know, of course. And then you'd be able to do the same thing. Show me all planets that have a rich carbon dioxide atmosphere that are within the habitable zone of a G star, you know, filter the database.
What I really love about how this is happening is, once upon a time, there was the Simon White-Rocky Kolb debate where they argued over whether or not it is better for the profession of astronomy to have purpose-built systems like WMAP that just solved one fundamental suite of problems involving the cosmic background radiation, or is it better to have general observatories like Hubble that you build with the flexibility to take on new problems over time? And what we're finding is you need the purpose-built systems like Gaia. You do not get more specialized of a system than Gaia.
Right.
And then you make these families of discoveries, and you go to the flexible, creatively designed systems like the Hubbles, the Spitzers, the Chandras, and you say, okay, we now have 30 of this specific kind of thing that was found, and now let's get the time to follow up. And then you're always going to find that one freak in the system, that one galaxy that makes zero sense. And then you just sit on it forever. And it's not really a survey. You're just looking at one object, but sometimes you can learn amazing things. And so we need every kind of telescope to truly understand our universe.
All right, we're going to talk about this some more, but it's time for another break. And we're back. Have you got any more interesting new survey missions to think about?
So what I'm loving is watching all the Southern Hemisphere telescopes with their enormously high resolution spectrographs. So we have HARPS is the old one, Espresso is the new imaging system coming on. And they're finding planets, they're following up on planets, and they're showing that we can do a lot of stuff from the ground that I would have said 10 years ago we could only do from space. And it's really amazing to think we are now at the point with finding and following up on planets where we were finding and following up on quasars 30 years ago. And if we are able to progress consistently, hopefully within our lifetimes, we'll be to the point where it's no big deal to point a telescope at a planet and say, yeah, this one probably has continents and clouds based on how the light is reflecting off of it. these are the things I dream of, what we're going to learn about planets, which when we were kids, we didn't know we'd be able to do someday.
Yeah, and I'm not saying there's going to be a planet called Ariel launching in 2028 whose only job is to characterize exoplanet atmospheres. But if such a mission was to exist, that's what it would do. But there was like a recent release again from ALMA, maybe it was about a year ago, where they showed you like 25 protoplanetary systems and just all lined up in this nice little grid. And so you can just like visually go like, oh, so that's what 25 newly forming planetary systems look like. Interesting. Some look like little spirals and others look like record players. Again,
Meerkat and Alma.
Yeah.
They're showing us the earliest stages in planetary formation. And Meerkat is a Pathfinder telescope. Or Pathfinder array. It's defining the technology that the square kilometer array is going to be using. And while I am always reticent to talk about things that have to be launched into space before they are successfully functioning in space.
Oh, interesting. You're okay with talking about stuff built on the ground.
Yes.
It can be troubleshot,
and unless it's the TMT, they pretty much can rescue anything.
Yeah.
And so we have, hopefully by the end of the year, Vera Rubin Observatory with their LSST, which is a survey abbreviation, they're going to start surveying the sky in optical. We have the square kilometer array is going to be coming online in the next decade, and it's going to be working in all the wavelengths of the radio, going longer than we're used to thinking.
But I just want to stop for 1 second. You mentioned Vera Rubin, and I'm glad you brought it up, because now I'm just going to go whole hog now, which is like, it's an 8-meter class telescope, the same-ish size telescope. I mean, the Kecks are 10, but the Subaru telescope, Gemini telescope, each of the elements of the very large telescope, essentially one of the biggest telescopes in the world.
Yes.
That is going to be observing the entire night sky at an incredible depth and resolution every few days from the Southern Hemisphere. Northern Hemisphere is out of luck, but the Southern Hemisphere will get it. And you're going to get this, just like, it's just going to take all of the survey knowledge that we have to this date and just provide, by orders of magnitude, fainter objects, more changes, to the point that you're watching as every single supernova that appears in the sky, the locations of all the asteroids as they move, the comets, the location of Kuiper Belt objects, Planet 9, you name it, that we will have this snapshot existing night after night after night. This has never happened before.
No.
And it's going to change everything.
And the data pipelines that they're trying to build for this, because we do not have nearly enough humans, bandwidth,
hard drives.
To deal with the flood of data that's going to come off of this telescope. And saying that it's an 8-meter class telescope fails to acknowledge that they are building some of the most sensitive camera systems ever constructed. This is not your grandma's 8-meter telescope.
Right.
This is the best hardware attached to it. It's like going from trying to take pictures on your iPhone to putting a really good DSLR, that E50 from Canon, if I got the right letters, don't at me. It's a significant camera improvement as well. And it's that improvement in the cameras that is really going to allow them to do the kinds of science that hasn't been done.
So the camera on Vera Rubin is 3,200 megapixels.
Yeah.
Right? 32. Like my DSLR, I've got a good DSLR. It's in the 20 megapixel range. 3,200 megapixel camera. Do you, like, we're just sort of nearing the end of the show.
Yeah.
Do you think that the survey telescope will become the dominant form of observatory moving into the future?
No, I think we're always going to need to have the single purpose observatories, because a survey telescope like LSST, the Vera Rubin Observatory, it can't sit on a variable star all night long because it's going to get the whole sky done. There's all these different time series things where you need to plop yourself down in one place and watch. There's also targets of opportunities. So the next time LIGO and Virgo spot what is probably two neutron stars colliding, we need to be able to get on target and follow that. And that again requires a discretionary use of a telescope, which you can't do with a survey telescope. So because astronomy is the science of things that vary with time, come and go as they please, and require you to sometimes just sit on them for days at a time, we need the freedom to say, right now this telescope is dedicated to this thing, and this other telescope is looking for all the things we need to dedicate this telescope to.
But survey missions have earned a prominent seat at the astronomy table.
They have. It's not an either or, it's an and. We require both to understand our universe.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Pamela.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone out there following us on Patreon. I know times are tough and we're starting to see it in people dropping out of our Patreon as inflation goes up. To those of you still here, thank you. You keep us going. You allow us to pay Beth, Nancy, Rich, Ali, our whole team that keeps us going. And this week, I want to thank Benjamin Davies, Peter, Rachel Fry, Planetar, Sean Freeman, who is Blixa the Cat, The Mysterious Mark, Andrew Stevenson, Jen Grenwald, The Air Major, Sean March, Smansky, Joe Wilkinson, Roland Vormerdam, Brian Kelby, John Drake, Kensaya Pianflinko, Corinne Diemthruk, Nyla, Connor New Zealand, Tim Garish, Arctic Fox, Claudia Mastriani, Dean, Bart Flaherty, Gordon Turner, Kathleen Matson, Bob the Boodle Cat, Chris Wheelwright, Jason Kordorkis, Olivia Bryan, Zank, Ron Thorson, Papa 1062, Robert Hyundai, I think, or Hundle. I'm not sure if that's an I or an L, Robert. I'm sorry. Kim Barron, Vitali, Paul Esposito, Arthur Latz Hall, Frank Stewart, Ganesh Shramathan, Bob Zatsky, Karthik Vekatraman, Michelle Coolin, Moose and Deer, Ruben McCarthy, Jeff McDonald, Iggy Hammock, Lee Harborn, Rebecca, and Buzz Parsec. Thank you all so much for being part of our Patreon community, even in these inflationary times. And if you have it in you to join us at patreon.com/astronomycast.
Awesome. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks, everyone.
See you. Bye-bye. And then they saved. I have so many windows open. So many windows. My hair slowly came undone throughout that episode. But like a pro, I ignored it completely.
I'm not even seeing you, so.
Okay. Yeah, my hair went from being in a bun to very much not being in a bun. It just like uncoiled itself spontaneously because I have enough hair for both of us.
Yeah, awesome hair problems. Okay. That's saved. Let's upload it.
Okay. I do need to take off a couple minutes early, but we can answer questions for a while.
You tell me the time.
Okay, let's end 10 minutes before the top of the hour.
Okay, you got it. So, ask questions fast.
Yes.
Hurry. Okay, all right, I'm uploading. Arjun asks, where's all this data being stored, and do they have upgrade plans so you don't have digital rot?
So it all depends on which survey. There's the Canadian Astronomical Data Center, there's the Hubble Archive, there's the Planetary Data System. Sloan.
Like, what about Vera Rubin?
Oh God, that one is still being solved. Like, they have Cisco involved at the highest levels trying to figure out how they're going to handle that one.
Yeah,
it's kind of a hot
they're dumping
mess.
So much data onto the internet that that there's a kind of large database manipulation technique called Hadoop, and you're going to have to be able to manage and sift through petabytes of information. It's
Yes.
ludicrous. And then so you're going to have to perform queries on their database, extract that information, and then download that information to your local system to do your analysis. It's going to be bonkers.
I feel like at a certain level, we're going to return to where we were in the late 90s, where when you needed to query a database, you put in your query and then they emailed you when it was ready to be downloaded.
Dustin King asks, has every wavelength been covered by a survey?
No.
We
don't have.
I mean, there's different...
not in decent resolution.
Yeah. So, I mean, there have been gamma ray surveys. There have been X-ray surveys you mentioned. But it's kind of hit or miss. In some cases, they use leftover times. They've done surveys with Chandra by piecing together all of the time when Chandra was slewing around. They just left the detectors on, and as Chandra slewed around, they just recorded what it saw and have pieced together an all-sky map through that.
Yeah, which is not how you want to do it.
No. You want to have a dedicated X-ray survey, or you want to have a dedicated gamma ray survey. And there have been gamma ray surveys done, but not to the kind of quality. And then, as you mentioned, there are specifically Gaia just looks at stars. There have been there are missions doing surveys about exoplanet atmospheres. Eventually, we will see more and more surveys across every wavelength and across every purpose. But we're not there yet.
ABQ Halsey, which I'm going to take as Albuquerque Halsey, points out that there's been no neutrino surveys yet. So, I mean, we're still learning how to survey certain things.
So there is a plan for that.
Yeah.
The Ice Cube telescope down in Antarctica, they've got a plan to build they're planning the next version. It's 1 cubic kilometer of ice, and they're planning to build a 10 cubic kilometer version. And the hope is to do a background, essentially a cosmic neutrino background survey, trying to detect the neutrinos coming from all directions simultaneously. And I think you mentioned this last week, right? About gravitational wave background surveys as well, using pulsars.
That is the one I'm super excited about. If we can get the details right, it's being able to see beyond the cosmic microwave background is something I would have died on that hill if we're never going to do this just 10 years ago. I would have died on the wrong hill is what would have happened.
Yep. Me But in Space asks, who is Arjone, and how can anyone ask so many informed questions? All I know is it's never aliens, so maybe an AI? Right?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Arjone has been one of the greatest question askerers I've ever seen. It's an absolute privilege and an honor to have Arjone in the community asking such, and it would just be the Arjone show if I let it, because because their questions are so good. But I have to balance things. But Arjone, thank you for existing. Yeah. Thank you for being a part of what you do. Thank you for adding so much value to this community. It's an absolute pleasure to have you as a collaborator on the shows that we do. So good.
So in the neither a question nor Arjone, I just need to share the comment. Kangaroo Steve on Twitch wrote, 2 scientists fighting to the death for telescope time. And Drebsdroff responds, social media, gotta make small intentional mistakes to drive up the comment engagement. And it's just sort of I can imagine now that we have the death match for telescope time, and we are funded through how many comments we get from the live YouTube stream of all of this.
Yep.
This is now what I'm imagining.
So did you hear that Twitter is probably going to accept Musk's buyout offer?
Yeah, I have so many mixed feels because on one hand, the stuff he builds works. On the other hand, he should not necessarily tweet all the things he's
He's a
thinking.
troll. Yep, he's a troll, and he's a troll, and
Yeah,
he's busy.
yeah,
And Twitter is just a quagmire.
yeah,
Like that's bait.
yeah.
But I think there's something deeply wrong with Twitter. And I think it is, it's sort of a manifestation of like people have gotten so polarized in their points of view and have gotten so good at dunking on each other and canceling each other and outrage and all that
Yeah.
the vast middle, to which I consider myself a part of, right?
Yeah.
Just goes, I don't want to go anywhere near this madness with a 10-foot pole. Like this is just like, I'm going to promote some stuff. I'll answer questions that people want to ask them, but I don't want to read the ongoing screeds as the two armies are in battle with each other.
I have added to my life a human being who spends a couple hours a day making sure I never see dick pics on social media.
Yeah.
I should not need to ask someone to censor dick pics from my life. But this is where we are, folks. And when your last name is gay and people have robots, it's really bad. Really bad.
But have you seen the Twitter handle where they give you uncensored dick pics? So a dick is it's a kind of antelope, and they're super adorable.
I thought it was a kind of bird. That I'm down with. That I'm totally down with.
Yeah.
And
So I think as the platform for public dialogue, Twitter is a failure. As a place for you to interact with other human beings who share your interests, it's a marvelous success.
It's also good for like civil war, actual war, protests.
Right. Yeah. So like a person who's a journalist in Ukraine can get out information out to a wide audience, can have that be magnified in a way that can draw attention. It's incredible. And yet it is sort of just a nasty place to spend much time on. And then you get the bots who are just trying to enrage you or trying to harvest your data or trying to sell you NFT scams.
Yeah.
So there are so many problems. I'm surprised that Musk wants any part of this.
He's a troll.
Yeah.
He's going to let Trump back on. He's going to make... What's going to be interesting, though, is there's brand new legislation that was just passed in the EU that says that companies are required to restrict content that is illegal in those nations. Mm-hmm. So, like, you can't spew Nazi rhetoric in Germany.
Right.
And I'm very strongly punched Nazi camp.
Right. Or at least don't let them promote their stuff on Twitter.
Exactly. And so how do you mix the EU saying censor Nazis and someone saying utterly total free speech?
I don't think I am not getting the impression that Musk wants utter total free speech at all.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think what the impression that I get is that he wants to create a layer on top of Twitter that allows people to customize what they are exposed to, and that there is a certain way that this information reaches you because like, there are people who would say like only people who follow me, only people who I follow can reply to my messages and so on and so forth. Yeah. And I think, versions of that, imagine a version that you customized, or that you would set
More
up
like the
that met.
controls we have on Facebook.
Yeah, or even like a Reddit group that can be
Yeah.
self-policed by the people within that community and can
Well,
encourage the kind of
have you
right.
tried Twitter communities yet? I'm part of the SciArt community, and it's amazing.
No, I didn't even know Twitter had communities. What?
Twitter has communities
How do you
now.
reach them?
I, I, you happen to, in my case, see someone tweeting about a community that they were part of, and you join it because it sounds awesome.
Huh. Okay. I don't even see it on my interface.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's funny. Lionel is saying Fraser's such an optimist. So here's my
Yeah.
take. For the first time in human history, all of humanity has been able to interact all at once,
Yeah.
and that's been neat. It's been weird, but it has also been a chance for anyone who is advocating anything to attempt to utterly control the space for ideas.
The squeaky
And
wheels are really
yeah,
loud.
yeah, exactly. And so you get people, the more technologically advanced they are, the more they're able to abuse the algorithm, the more they're able to push their rhetoric, etc., the louder they're able to amplify themselves. In the background, there is this need for all of humanity. I would love to be able to talk to a person in Laos about astronomy or some topic, some video game that we both enjoy, in a way that allows you to connect to people around the world.
Yeah.
And yet, the second this space opened up, the people rushed in to use it to control the rhetoric and try to control the idea space.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a brand new virus into our collective human immune system, and we have no experience in dealing with this. And every time it's happened in the past with like books, the printing press, it severed Christianity in half when the printing press came out, right? Like there have been implications when television and so on and so forth. And yeah, of course, the internet is going, we are living through it, but we are going to learn, and we are going to tame it, and we are going to settle it and figure out how to make it be the best version of itself. But it's going to take us some time, and the bad actors have got to demonstrate the way they act badly so that those techniques will be tamped down, that we'll be able to route around it, and we'll get back to this place where we get as many of the good things and as few of the bad things. And I think that we're all just living through it. And so of course it feels like we're just being deluged with people from so many splinter interest groups attempting to dominate the conversation.
Right.
But most people don't care, and they don't want to be a part of it, and they just want to hang out with people they like, and they just want to connect with that other gamer who's in South Africa and play the game that they enjoy, and connect across an entire world. And so I think that we'll get there, and we'll build an immune system.
You need to plug your Discord, because Discord is the place where I go to hang out with the random
100%.
people in other countries that become my new best friends.
And I think that's the future. The future is the splintering. The future is you get out of the giant interstate traffic jam that is Twitter, and you find your community, and you settle into a nice, polite interaction with a few hundred people who you really enjoy their company, and you bring each other up.
Yeah.
And you don't have to even think about that mess. And so if Elon thinks that he can fix it, good luck. I don't think you can. And I don't think it's worth saving. I think if Twitter just consumes itself, but we're left with this next future, which is smaller, splintered, bespoke communities where people share meaningful experiences with each other, that is better.
Yeah.
And the key is finding them. The key is you being able to quickly get yourself into those communities where people are going to be kind to you in a way that you deserve, and not you have to sit in this vast faceless ocean where people are pushing NFTs at you and trying to get you outraged about something that just doesn't matter.
And sending dick pics because your last name is gay.
Right. But send more dick pics.
Yes, I'm down with that.
Down with dick pics. All right. Well, we've reached the end of our time. You had to run. Always a pleasure. That was
announcement real fast.
Okay, go.
So Daily Space, we record live on twitch.tv/CosmoQuestX. We are changing our recording time. We are now going to be recording at noon Eastern. That is 2 hours earlier. Noon Eastern is 5 p.m. London, 9 a.m. Pacific. So check it out and follow us wherever you get your podcasts if you aren't already.
Perfect. I've got an interview in about 3 hours with Dr. Renu Malhotra, and this is based on a story we covered on Universe Today last week about Pluto's surprisingly chaotic orbit. And I'm going to be talking with her about just orbital mechanics, cool. Planetary migration, and just will Pluto get kicked out of the solar system and other interesting stuff. So should be
that was an option.
It's not.
Okay, good.
But that's just clickbaiting you. So
you succeeded.
It's surprisingly stable over the long term and surprisingly unstable over the short term is the bottom line. So
I need to know more.
We wrote an article on Universe Today. We had an exclusive on this story, so you should definitely check it out. There you go.
All right.
And I will know more after I finish this interview. But we got to run. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thanks to all the moderators. Thanks for watching us on YouTube and on Twitch. Thank you to Nancy for keeping us organized. Thanks to Pamela, all the people behind the scenes, all the editors, all of the producers, everybody who keeps this going. We couldn't do this without you. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.